asks, why Genshin Impact is an artistic and technical masterpiece. I think so. Like, take away the gacha system and like some of the like energies where you can't do like dungeon after dungeon. So basically take all the parts that like force you to spend money in a way. And I think Genshin could have been like Elden Ring level of like not success, because obviously it made more money than Elden Ring, but in terms of like player love. Because with Genshin Impact, like most players either love it or hate it. Elden Ring, it's like most players love it, and like very, very few like terrible players hate it. And by terrible, I mean like you're not good at games, unfortunately. So, and not good at games, I should say you're not into challenging games. I guess that might be a better word for it.
Regarding Genshin, yeah, I'm gonna play it. Bro, this is single player gacha game. People pay real money to beat the CPU. Here's why. The girls are hot. We're gonna take a look at it. Why Genshin Impact is an artistic and technical masterpiece.
That's funny.
I'm
True,
gonna be
though.
real.
It's funny
they
though.
spent $100 million a year on this fucking game. It better be an artistic and technical masterpiece. That's a lot of money.
When was the first time a video game truly... When was the first time a video game truly made you say, wow? Maybe it was walking out of the vault for the first time in Fallout 3.
I would say the vault in Final Fantasy 14. I would also say Elden Ring. Like the Nakud City, the Eternal City, and you go down that shit and you're like, what the fuck? Or Leyndell, or Dark Souls.
I was gonna say Dark Souls like has a good amount of them.
Dark Souls is like the...
Or Sekiro, when you first run into that big snake.
Wow moment whenever I beat Dark Souls happened when I beat the game. And the credits rolled. I said, what the fuck? That was crazy. Yeah, I feel like there have been a number of good wow moments in games recently.
Dragon Age Inquisition, when like there's this spot where like you see two giants fighting each other. You can go over there and try to kill them if I remember right. So.
And Orlando, yeah. After those little dick boys crawl you over there. Or fly you over there.
Or maybe it was watching the first Colossus pass you by in Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
But for me,
that was pretty cool.
It was the first time I saw the world of Genshin.
I'm gonna be honest too. I actually think Belshazzar Gate 6 was a wow moment fight. And so was Vaulton Gate 2. I actually think that those fights are S tier on a level that no other MMO is actually above. There are fights.
I mean, to be fair, Asmon, you haven't played the raids, like most raids in Final Fantasy. You played like basically vanilla and Burning Crusade raids of the Final Fantasy like universe. So I don't know if you can say like, oh yeah, they're better than every other MMO that you've personally done. I would say that's fine, but I don't know. It just feels weird that you would say that.
Fights that are equivalent to that, like Mythic Gul'dan, but I don't think there's anything that is like objective.
Because I think of MMOs raids, I think Asmon really only has experience in WoW and a very little in Final Fantasy, and that's, I think, about it.
Just
and of course Lost Ark.
Better.
An impact.
It's so good. Any WoW moments of WoW? Yeah, Mythic Gul'dan. That was fucking badass. Ragnaros, heroic,
but
and phase 4.
Why is it so beautiful anyway? What's going on behind the scenes here? How does Genshin Impact manage to combine real-life influences with an incredibly convincing 3D anime art style and create something so unique and fresh? The perfectly executed anime art style is a big reason why so many players like myself have developed an unbending loyalty to this game. And it's this exact art style that I want to dissect today. Without further ado, let's explore the art of Genshin Impact.
I know somebody in chat goes and says comparing masterpieces to Genshin. The reality is that I bet Genshin is a masterpiece. I bet honestly the graphics and the style of this game and the way that it plays is probably fucking perfect for what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now it might not be what you want.
The universe of Genshin Impact was
fine.
created with an outstanding amount of attention to detail, upon an intricate framework that contains a surprising amount of reference to the real world. We'll get into that in a bit. Genshin's universe is split between 7 factions, each corresponding
That's
to
a dude,
an
by
element.
the way. I didn't
These
know that.
include
That's
the 4
Duluth.
elements considered by the Western cultures as the pillars of
It's been a while since I played Genshin. I think that's another game I'm going to be going back to, just to see what kind of content's available now.
the Earth, along
Because
with
that's basically the same reason why I stopped playing Genshin as like Tower Fantasy. Is just I kind of ran out of stuff to do, other than just grind, which I'm not really into.
with other elements derived from Eastern traditions. Each elemental domain has a god, or archon, presiding over them, with their names along with many others directly lifted from Ars Goetia, a pagan grimoire. Even the twins' names,
did not know
the
that.
2 possible characters a player
They
can
were in
choose at
one
the
of the
beginning of the
cinematics.
game,
I saw
are
this.
clever wordplay meant to represent yin and yang energies and the polarity between heaven and earth, combining different elements of ancient religions, Gnosticism,
Man, that's a difference in the way it's designed. You know, like that's a like damn, they changed that. They changed your character model up a lot. Just a bit, yeah.
and Eastern schools of thought. Genshin Impact became a sampling platter for many profound concepts. What makes this game so great is that its boundless wisdom was neatly packaged into a format that makes it fun and visually
cool.
appealing. And it's easy to understand why this title became so successful in such a short amount of time.
it's really
when you
nice.
consider that these players
Like,
were also
I'm a,
so successful in
like, that's what I'm saying. This shit that looks really good.
What? Yeah, and that's gameplay. That is legit gameplay. What you see in the game.
Just objectively, like for the art style that they're trying to go with, that's fucking amazing, man. That looks so good.
such a short amount of time. When you consider that these players were also faced with a unique gaming experience on top of the stunning visuals. The vast open world invites careful exploration, and the intricate storylines honestly kept me glued to my screen for longer than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
In an interview by Pocket Gamer,
my plan with the game is whenever I play this shit, I'm actually going to play through the whole story. I'm going to play through the whole story, play through the whole game. I'm going to do it like I did Final Fantasy.
Toyo's president for
didn't do that with Final Fantasy, man. You kind of gave up halfway. I'm not saying you're never going to go back to it, but it's been a while. Like you're waiting for a new expansion. Like I don't know.
Wei Liu mentioned that the team's love for Japanese entertainment was the bedrock for creating this game. Although the vast majority of the group, comprising of more than 400...
And I'm not like one of those people like, oh, Asmon needs to play Final Fantasy. He needs to play it. It's like, my thing was more, he didn't even reach the end game that was currently available before quitting the game. Not quitting, you know what I mean? Like before he stopped playing and played something else and hasn't come back. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you didn't do that with Final Fantasy, so what's to say you're going to do that with Genshin? Like, maybe you'll just get to a point where like, okay, well, new thing came out, so I'm going to play that and not really play Genshin again. I don't really care, to be honest. But I think it's just like, I don't know. I think it just feels weird to me when you say you're going to do the same thing when it wasn't something that was good to begin with.
People were of Chinese descent. Now, this is really interesting to me, since most of the in-game scenes could easily be mistaken for authentic Ghibli movies. An overwhelming number of players also noticed the resemblance to the beloved Breath of the Wild, and Wei Liu confirmed that the cel-shaded Zelda installment was in fact a heavy inspiration for Genshin Impact.
Yeah, of course.
Can even win away.
Why not? Breath of the Wild was freaking amazing. Like, if you can get inspiration from a game, might as well go top shelf, right?
Called the Skyward Blade through the Wish system. However, I am here to say that Genshin Impact is a lot more than just a Breath of the Wild knockoff, as it draws inspiration from various games.
I think what happened is like it originally was kind of a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and then after a while
it evolved
kind of
into its own thing.
Legs, and it's its own thing now.
Exactly.
It's like it might have started like that, but it's not anymore.
And game mechanics,
That's
including
my understanding.
previous MiHoYo games such as Honkai Impact 3rd. And yet, with the visuals being so heavily inspired by existing styles, Genshin Impact has still managed to carve out its own unique artistic identity. To achieve this, the studio used the beloved anime style as a stepping stone and defined the game's visual character through a plethora of cultural motifs anchored in real life. Every location of this game was carefully created to reflect real-life places. The characters, both playable and non-playable, were designed to fit within a cultural background that players all around the world can relate to.
There's no fat people in this game, so I don't know how Americans can play this shit.
There are, but they're enemies.
I've never seen a single fat person in Genshin Impact.
You can fight them, the bandits.
There is? Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
I think this is a perfect
not
time
as a
to
playable
look into
character
the
though.
environment
They're the
design of
bad
Genshin Impact.
guys.
As a horrible artist myself, much of this game's appeal stems from the gorgeous scenery. I actually have a course that teaches you how to create beautiful environments like this using Unreal Engine and Blender, so make sure to check out that link in the description.
Cool.
When designing the world of Genshin Impact, MiHoYo's art department had two things in mind: to develop certain styles that perfectly match the essence of each faction, and making sure to communicate that aesthetic effectively. Now, Genshin Impact was built entirely on a customized version of Unity due to its extensive multi-platform support. Two different render pipelines were put in place, which is quite a strange practice to see for a game like this. However, given the heavily stylized nature of this game, the studio saw it fit to employ two separate pipelines.
Okay.
A PBR pipeline for the environments and a cel-shaded hand-painted pipeline for the characters.
That makes sense, right? Because like you want to have those characters, they need to be hot as fuck. Because like that's what's gonna get people to spend money.
Yep.
Because like you have a new character comes out, that's what's gonna on God, true, absolutely, yeah. They gotta make those characters just right.
We're going to get into both of those a lot of times through this video. The first region a player gets to explore is the Anemo Nation, which corresponds to the wind element. The Anemo Nation resides in the city of Freedom called Mondstadt. In German, the name translates to Moon City and is heavily inspired by Germanic architecture. The half-timbered houses are reminiscent of medieval German constructions.
I don't think I caught on to that
striking when compared to the houses of the
that was just medieval.
Wittenberg.
Damn, that place looks fucking nuts. Holy shit. And people live in there? They have like internet and shit there too, right? I would always be worried if I lived in a place like this that like there wouldn't be like running water. But the reality is I bet there's probably more like conveniences and the Wi-Fi is probably better here than where I live. I don't know how that happens. Like Nick can go over to Norway in the middle of a fucking rainstorm and have 1080p streams, but he's downtown in Austin getting disconnected.
Yeah, that's weird.
The city of Mondstadt
looks really nice though.
Was built in an oval shape in the center of a lake, which seems to have been inspired by Bern, the capital of Switzerland. In the center of Mondstadt is a giant awe-inducing cathedral, which was most likely inspired by the
That looks really cool.
That's interesting to call it Bern because, you know, that was actually the name of the Lost Ark city of Vern in the Korean version, and Vern also has a cathedral that looks similar to this, and so maybe the Lost Ark city is also derivative of the same thing.
That would make sense.
Look at that.
Regensburg. For the environment design itself, the render pipeline takes into account the day and night cycle, weather conditions, as well as the complexity of the environment. All throughout Tevyat, you won't find a single baked light source. All of the lights and environments are dynamic, including the local ones that contribute to both direct and indirect lighting in the proximity of the player camera. With Genshin Impact, the beauty really is in the details. The use of dynamic shadows all across the game enhance the three-dimensional feel of Tevyat. When players walk under a tree, the leaves cast shadows onto their bodies. Volumetric fog of different densities in certain regions or time of day periods come into contact with the local lighting, enriching the atmosphere and creating a unique experience at each part of the day in each different location.
That's cool.
Speaking of volumetrics, I'd love to take a second to point out Genshin Impact's incredible cloud volumetrics.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff you wouldn't notice by itself, but when it's all put together, like it leaves like a really good feeling of playing the game.
The games will use 2D
like the immersion of
clouds
it
in the background to fake them.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we think of a game like that just, you know, puts some fucking white shit up in the air and they say, hey, that's a cloud?
But Genshin Impact has physical, dynamic clouds that move, shift forms, and react to light, casting shadows
That's crazy.
on the ground
I didn't know
below.
that.
I'll be diving into these techniques in more detail in my new upcoming series, Game Ready.
Can you get on top of that mountain?
Objects blocking the sun or
sure
moonlight create these beautiful god ray effects, coupled with the expert terrain blending and post-effect shaders such as bloom and color remapping. The end result is stunning imagery that could trick most eyes into believing that this scene is actually 2D artwork.
Yeah, I think that looks good. It looks great.
Now, as we go past the walls of Mondstadt, we're met with high mountains and green pastures spreading for miles, which makes the outer area look a lot like the Mondsee area of Austria, which, for record, is also known as Moon Lake. It's a fun little detail.
That's a nice place. I like to live in a place like this, man. Like, I used to live in a place
Looks
with
really
like
chill.
woods and shit, and now I live in a place with like apartments and shit. It sucks.
Yeah.
I found. Special attention was given to the grass of Genshin Impact in order to achieve...
You would think he'd have less of a raccoon problem with apartments instead of forests.
The studio modeled and textured a variety of grass concept motifs. These were then given randomized densities, size, orientations, and multiple sets of grass LODs were grouped together, and simplified versions were prepared for each set to keep things nice and optimized. Cliffs and mountains also occupy a big portion of most scenes in this game. To maintain a stylized, consistent look, the studio tried to retain some of the brushstroke effects. The texture applied to rocks comprised 8 different layers, and each of them had 3 different versions to account for detailed differences seen at specific distances. The hand-painted layers are actually fully procedural and use a lot of cool color blurring and blending techniques to get the desired look. I go over this technique extensively in my Stylized texturing course, and I'll leave a link in the description for that one too. Genshin Impact features hundreds of different models of trees, bushes, and other foliage. The team had to employ several shading tricks to make them blend seamlessly into the environment while retaining some of the details.
I would say that's kind of impressive how they have... I'm going to just go back real quick. Well, you got Mr. Squirrel here, and his
shadow affects the grass.
The shadow is on each individual blade of grass.
Yep.
Isn't that nuts? Wow. It's not a cat, guys. Come on, what are y'all, stupid?
They use spherical models for the leaves, along with a technique relying on the angle of the player's camera to clip individual leaves out of the render.
Damn.
The specular and shadows between the leaves were then weakened, and a minimal level of lighting was set to prevent the shadows from looking too dark, which is essential in this painterly Ghibli style. If you look closely enough at the trees, you'll also notice some subsurface scattering on the leaves of the trees.
And like, look at her boobs too. I didn't notice the leaves at all, but look at this.
If you look closely enough at the trees, you'll also notice some subsurface scattering on the leaves of the trees.
Bro, there's like more physics in like one of these characters' boobs than there is in like all of a World of Warcraft raid.
Mimicking an effect we see in real life.
Like the physics right.
Light creates a rim effect on the edges of leaves if sunlight shines through at the right angle.
Waifu isn't
If you venture further into the wilderness
much of a
on a mercantile route, you'll soon find yourself before a natural landmark called the Stone Gate. From here, the scenery gradually shifts, and the architecture, along with the path, slowly reveals the motifs of a new region, Liyue. Governed by the god of Geo, an element corresponding to Earth, the nation of Liyue resides in a very lively
Chinese theme.
This is one of my favorite environments in the entire game. The architecture of the city was heavily inspired by ancient China, featuring warm
palettes, clay it felt more of Chinese than Japanese.
For a team of Chinese
like
developers,
kind
it
of
was paramount to bring Liyue to a level of perfection, as to reflect the gentle yet imposing as to reflect the gentle beauty of their own hometowns. Seas of reeds embellish the terrain close to bodies of water, dancing with each gentle breeze.
That was Monica,
inspired by the delicate balance of content and empty space which characterizes Chinese Shanshe landscape paintings, the team built an array of peaks and stone forests as a backdrop for prominent landmarks. The soothing scenery brought forward the name of the first piece of architecture we see in Liyue, the Wangshu Inn. Its design drew from the Wankong Temple, built into a cliff near Mount Hang in China. The environment art team for MiHoYo mentioned how important it was for them to represent Chinese characteristics in front of a global player base. To achieve this, they compared...
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you don't really see a lot of that. That's why I'm excited to see that Wukong game. Because like obviously...
Ancient China actually is like a really cool theme. Like I wish more games implemented it. Because you have like, to me, like the top 3 would be like medieval ages, like high fantasy, like dragons and stuff like that. Then you have like the samurai time, where like the yokai, and then you have ancient China, which is like the cultivators and that kind of stuff.
Obviously,
it's usually like my top 3 in terms of like themes.
So like you kind of have an idea of it, but I feel like it's like kind of underrepresented as like a mythology that like people are aware of around here in the U.S. at least.
That is true.
various landmarks and pieces of Chinese culture, and finally selected the area of Zhangjiajie as one of the main sources of inspiration.
That's so
I am so
badass.
sorry for butchering all of these Chinese
That looks
words.
really nice.
Yeah, I couldn't do any better.
That's cool.
Version 2.0 brought players the third large-scale
my
region
God.
open to
Look
exploration.
at that.
Centered
I have not
around
been
the
to this
element
one.
Electro, the theme for Inazuma was eternity, a beautiful contrast to the short lifespan of lightning. Inspired by Japan, the region is located in the easternmost part of Tevyat, in a group of islands accessible only via the ocean. The vast landscape is dotted with painterly sakura blossoms, and high mountain peaks preside over the backdrop.
Yeah,
Grand
it's really
Narukami
nice.
Shrine, the region's largest, closely resembles traditional Japanese places of worship. Players get to walk through imposing
That's
torii
really
gates
cool.
and cleanse their hands on purification troughs. Lion-like statues resembling Japanese komainu act like shrine guardians, and fan, lotus, and cherry blossom imagery can be found all throughout Inazuma. The region's very name comes from Inadzuma, which means lightning in Japanese. These elements blend beautifully with an encompassing anime art style, creating an unique, almost austere atmosphere.
Yeah.
MiHoYo put a lot of effort into making Inazuma a dream world for any anime fan out there, and I really believe they nailed it. Genshin Impact managed to beautifully balance the heavily stylized look with real-world architectural influences, but there's another layer to the design of Tevyat that makes the game environments truly unique. The 7 elements serve multiple purposes for the game mechanics, but they also influence the design quite heavily as well. Affiliation to the elements is present in every design choice, from the intricate costume design to VFX to the architecture itself. Mondstadt, the city of wind that we talked about earlier, is built on many different elevation levels with plenty of staircases, allowing its inhabitants...
Isn't there like one of the characters that like her lore is that a monster tried to eat her, but her ass was so fat that the monster choked to death and it died and she escaped?
Ganyu. So it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the kind of game. Yeah. Holy moly, that's a great plot. I thought so too.
to glide from
Isn't that sort of World of Warcraft plot for the Galakron in a way,
one wall to the other.
but with rocks?
The Nemo emblem of wind can be seen on many items, including the crest of the Knights of Favonius, the city's protecting chapter. The elements influence everything from unique talents to the appearance of the characters, even their personality. In most cultures, water symbolized the body, thus emotions. Hydro, or water characters in Genshin Impact, were designed to look soft, quiet, and empathetic. They feature big, bright eyes and soft facial expressions.
That's smart.
Their animations are graceful and flowy.
And see, like,
Pyro-
see how they do this? Like, she doesn't really have cat ears, but if you want to imagine it, you can. That's a smart little subtle
Didn't even notice that, Asmon. Dude, what the
thing that they put in the game.
What? I played Final Fantasy. I don't get... Okay.
Soft facial expressions. Their animations are graceful and flowy. Pyros, on the other hand, look passionate and determined and are a little more spicy with their personalities. To solve the challenging issue of several cultural influences and references all mixed together, MiHoYo used the elemental system to bring everything together into a single cohesive world.
That's
Yeah, I
interesting.
didn't
7
think about
elements
that when
used
I was
feel
playing it, but
distinct
yeah.
enough for the player to feel compelled to keep exploring, but they are similar enough to make Tevyat into something original. Character design. All right.
Okay.
Character design is the bread and butter of Genshin Impact. As a
Yeah.
free-to-play
Sure
game
is.
of such quality,
For a lot
Genshin
of people,
Impact
I would
Mainly
say
relies
the
so.
on
bread.
the gacha system to turn a profit.
Yep.
The characters are the most desired type of content in the game, and much of the storytelling revolves around them. In addition, perfecting their appearance was the key element in order to achieve the desired anime style.
Oh, that's absolutely true. Like, I don't know how many times like I ever make a comment. Like I said, fucking, this is on Twitter. I went and I said, where's Twitter? I see if I find you guys what this is. Knows that's true. Anyway, I said anybody who had Makima as a profile picture is a simp. Everybody knows that's true, right? I mean,
I'm not sure who that
it's
is.
not anybody.
Is that
any
from
dude
Chainsaw
that has her as a profile is a
Man?
fucking simp. And I remember there were some fucking Genshin Impact profile pictures that took fucking great offense to this. And that's how much people like the characters, though, is they have this, like, this their profile picture, that this is who they are.
Special attention was given to the shaders of the characters to ensure an authentic anime look. They hand-painted shadow masks specifically for the face, which they can later adjust automatically based on the direction of light. The position of the shadow can be artificially set based on the material settings, light intensity, and even mesh curvature. The color in the darkest areas can also be controlled by the color of the environment and at the artist's preference. As a result, the team spent copious amounts of time perfecting the concepts and making sure that they not only fit within the world, but also revealed critical details about the nature of the game. Each character features a complex set of past, present, and future interactions with the world of Pega. Each character has unique features and animations that distinguish them from the other characters. It is these core features that the team uses as guiding principles for the character design. In an installment of their developer notes series, MiHoYo revealed much of their thought process behind the creation of a character named Xiao. They drew inspiration from folk legends and religious stories and blended influences from Taoist deities, ancient Chinese spirits, Buddhist guardians, and mythological creatures. This result was a rich character with a unique set of values, drives, and personality traits. His outfit reflects a young, competent warrior that moves swiftly like the wind, which is his corresponding element. His accessories are all rooted in ancient Chinese tradition.
Is there like any character in Genshin Impact that's just like a big, hairy, muscly man?
I don't think so. I mean, there's like strong characters like Diluc, I think his name is, like the fire guy. But
so they have fat people, but they don't have. Yeah, all right. That's,
I see what he's saying. Like as an enemy, they do.
I see how it is. Yeah, only NPCs. Okay, I got it. Not yet. Yeah, they need to add one of those.
The mask he wears in combat draws from Chinese exorcism masks. He wears a Vajra, if I'm saying that right, at the neck and censer at the waist, 2 items ritualistically used to fight evil. Another great example of character design is Zhongli, the current vessel of the Geo.
Zhongli, like, I know a lot of people liked him.
God Morax. He features a long ponytail, a deeply rooted Chinese symbol of social status. He has the scales on either side of his robe, which represent the emperor's power and adaptability. His design contains a lot of patterning, references to the 12 symbols of sovereignty introduced in the Zhao dynasty, exclusively worn by the emperor. Barring a few characters, Genshin's character design rarely features actual armor, despite all playable characters being fighters. The focus on the design leans more on the visual appeal rather than practical considerations.
Yeah,
Most
outfits
that's revolve around a predominant color, which generally signifies the element associated with that character. That color is then paired with shades of white or black, then a few splashes of accent color are added for more visual interest. The accessories are what sets most of their designs apart. These accessories mostly fit within a certain theme related to their nationality. Mondstadt characters have more dagger-like triangular shapes as embellishments with more belts. In contrast, the clothing of Liu Wei features plenty of Chinese knotting, thick cords, and tassels. Each elemental affiliation is also reflected in the character's movements. Wind characters feature quick movements that end in a slow, controlled manner. They are swift as the wind, but retain their gracefulness with every attack.
That's impressive.
Geo, or Earth characters...
Like, I mean, you gotta admit, like, they put a lot of fucking thought into this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know it was this deep at all. Oh my god.
The game is really good.
It's just quick, imposing moves.
Some mechanics on it just make it really...
No wonder people waste their paycheck on this game.
It's almost like that they stay grounded. In order to further distinguish each character, the developers gave them unique abilities, which come with their own visual effects. These are heavily influenced by their corresponding element, but they retain some individuality and reflect some of the character's backstory. Razor, for example, was presented as an orphan who was raised by wolves. As a result, his elemental burst in VFX shows a wolf spirit slaying his enemies.
It's a girl?
Barbara, one of my favorite characters, her ability shows a colorful burst of magical notes, telling of her habit of humming all over Mondstadt. All of these complex elements of culture, inspired design, and technical art prowess are all perfectly blended together to create one cohesive, beautiful piece of art.
That's impressive, man.
Genshin Impact's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, I mean, that's impressive they put that much work into it. I didn't even really know that it was that deep. I thought that, again, it was just a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and like the style was just because it was easy to make. I didn't know it was this much. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is
Yeah, it does. This video does make you appreciate things that you may more than likely have missed while you were actually playing it. I don't think it's gonna make me want to buy characters more. Like if I get them, I get them. If not, it's not a big deal.
It's just crazy.
At least for myself.
They didn't have a bald playable character yet, though. Yeah, of course not. Like most of the people that play this game are kids, man. They don't want to have a bald guy in the game. That reminds them of their dad. Like, they don't want their dad in their game. Like, they play the game to get away from their dad. Okay, Dad, leave me the fuck alone. I'm trying to play my game. Like, get the fuck away from me. Like, stop. Like, I'm not going to take out the garbage. Yeah.
I don't know about kids. I would say late teens and 20s is probably their biggest player base. I could be wrong, though.
Of course that's it. Yeah, 100%. This is a kid's game. A lot of young people play Genshin Impact. I think so. Obviously, like, it's not like only kids play Genshin Impact. Nah, there's plenty of grown-ass fucking men that play this game, too. Yeah. But the truth is, it does have a younger audience. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I agree there.
Let me see here. It's a dad playing the game. Yeah. It also, like, that's another thing. Is like, a dude comes in and plays this game. He doesn't want to be reminded the fact that he's fucking bald. Like, that's the last thing he wants to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a big, hairy, greasy, smelly man. Yeah. Average age is Tectone age, though? Yeah, I guess so. I think this is crazy. Like, I really like this video. This is really well put together. Hopefully he do more of these, and I'll watch them out. Yeah, that's it. Riot just released a cinematic for the first time. It's dislikes, past likes. I don't know. I'll look at that maybe if I want. I don't know. We'll see. Tectone is a representation. Yeah, Tectone's the average Genshin player. There you go. Lucari and Tectone. That's the real face behind.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Like skip there.
Yep, that's what it is. Tectone's the average Genshin player. There you go. Lucari and Tectone.
Yeah, I think the only Genshin streamer I even watched a little bit was probably Tectone. I'm just not a big fan of like streaming Genshin just because it's, or at least watching streams of Genshin, because it's the reason why I play it is just to do the collectibles, check out the scenery and stuff like that. That's the real face behind the player base. Yep, that's what it is. Pretty much. I mean, it made a bunch of money. Like, I doubt it was kids who made them all that money, so. Why Genshin has an impact on artistic and technical? I think so. Like, I do think that the spearhead, of course, was Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I think Genshin brought it to a whole new level.